2070 we will be zero carbon emission. It is not just a wishful target. We are moving forward and fulfilling it before the timeline. When we go for the clean energy, we are moving in most innovative way. Solar energy. When we have sun whom we worship as God, has inexhaustible energy, can't we tap into that? And when we started tapping, we started getting the result. Initially when India started in 2016, International Solar Alliance, there were skeptics around the world, not very many takers. Today, there are numerous who are joining us. Ethanol. We know that almost 20% of our energy that we use, the fuel that we use, they are ethanol mixed. We had a target E10, then we had a target which we achieved long before our deadline. We set the target E20, that also we have achieved. The country is moving forward with determination to move away from fossil fuel. At the same time, producing more energy, because we know that energy is how crucial for our development. Innovative thinking, bold thinking, resolute thinking. We are for alternative renewable energies. Now we are ambitious, and I'm sure we will fulfill that, to be the international hub for green hydrogen. The next couple of years, we will achieve that. Country has the confidence. Country has the determination. So we are moving forward. We are walking the talk. Not only that, the climate crisis is also linked with the way we have been using the soil for agricultural production. Excessive use of fertilizers and climate incompatible agriculture. The places where we don't have much water, going for water intensive cultivation, pulling out, taking water from this water table. As a result, the water table going down. Excessive use of fertilizer, soil is turning barren. Excessive use of pesticide, it is at its own severe detrimental effect. Now, our country is moving with a determination towards natural and organic farming. A revolution is going on. I have seen in this very state, Tamil Nadu, when I visited the remote areas, our farmers are doing what people would be dreaming about. Climate compatible agriculture. Less water, fine, go for millet. The country leadership has already given a call to go for this millet cultivation. It doesn't need much water, it is more nutritious, it can give good yield. Natural or organic farming without reducing the yield, and which is compatible with the climate, with the environment, is what we are doing, and this is what we need to show to the world. Look, there is a way forward. Not only that, our Prime Minister has given a call and the United Nations has accepted it. Lifestyle for environment. It has to be a movement. It has to be a movement. It cannot be a policy, a statement or initiative by the government. It has to be the movement by every citizen of the world. We have to rethink about our lifestyle. How to live in a way that reduces the waste and wasteful use of whether it be energy or any other resource. Even when we are generating energy, how to make the optimum use of that energy, and for that use of LED. The LED has revolutionized the way it has with less energy, how to have more light that we have, which earlier it used to be. It is as a fraction of that we get better light, more comforting light. So the same amount of energy with far more use. Now these are ways, these are revolutions which are happening in this country. These are preventive to the climate crisis. But also, we are also dealing with the effects of what is happening. Okay, it will reduce the pace of heating. But we know that the crisis, the natural disasters which are happening, fury of elements, a scorching heat to a place where earlier known for cold climate, eruptions, natural excessive flooding. In natural disaster mitigation, India has built a capacity, a credible capacity by which we are not only meeting the need of mitigating disaster in our own country, but we are reaching out to our friends across the world. So, a major crisis, the global crisis, the climate, how India is doing it. How India is meeting the need for energy, how India is meeting need for agriculture, how India is meeting need for sustainable life. Water. Water, we know that water is going to, for the future, going to be a crisis along water. The Prime Minister, when he launched a scheme of 75,000 Amrit Sarovar in the country to have 75,000 water bodies, 75 in each district. At the time it looked ambitious. We are close to achieving it. So, we are walking the talk. The world is looking at India with curiosity. What is happening? Another crisis, global crisis, is poverty. It's a challenge. We know that a large part of the world is living in poverty. And how do we address that? Here again, India's experiment. Now we know that in less than 10 years, we have moved more than 140 million people out of poverty. It's magic. How did this happen? In less than 10 years, pulling out more than 140 million people out of poverty. Because we took initiatives. The national leadership, a visionary leadership, took initiative in a way that perhaps was not thought of before. And what were these? Some of these are worth mentioning here. The benefits and the services meant for the poor people. Earlier, the government used to release, but there used to be huge leakage. We had a Prime Minister who on record stated that for every 1 rupee that is meant for the beneficiary, intended beneficiary gets only 15 paise. 85 paise used to be eaten away by people in between. Now what is happening today? With the Digital India initiative, with every beneficiary having a digital account, having a bank account, and digitally connected through the Trinity, as we call it, Jan Trinity, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile. The benefit goes to the account, the beneficiary's account directly. We have already crossed more than 500 million accounts, Chandhan accounts. More than 500 million. Today, the leakage that it used to happen is addressed. People kept the benefits and the services that they needed, which was meant for them without any intervention of the middlemen and without any transmission loss through corruption. This is a problem that happens all over the world in varying degrees, but we addressed. Today, this country is the most digitalized country in the world. This happened in the last few years. Today, 45% of the digital financial transactions every day happens in this country alone. This is New India. The digital India, it went a long way in addressing the issue of poverty. Not only that, today it empowers the citizens. And when the citizens are empowered, when they have a sense of dignity because they don't have to go and fall in queue for their services, for the benefits that was intended for me to go and beg before officials and feel humiliated, it comes to them directly. It gives a sense of dignity. Digital India has ensured the dignity of our citizens. And when citizens have dignity, our democracy is further strengthened. The various initiatives, even we have now in our country, like many other places, we have many homeless people. In the last few years, we built about over 30 million homes for the homeless. Over 30 million. And how did it happen? Because the beneficiary, the homeless, had a bank account. All that person needed was to have a piece of land where he could build the house. And with a certain process, the money comes in tranches. The person builds the house, uploads this on the GPS, verified, the money comes direct without any intervention of any middleman. And we built over 30 million houses for the homeless. This is use of technology, democratization of technology, in empowering the people, in reducing poverty. It also helped in skilling the people. It is not only that the benefits and services intended for them to reach, but also they must be empowered to be more productive. And the way aggressively we push the Skilling India initiative, today we see the outburst of entrepreneurship in our country. Entrepreneurship in our country, when until about 2 years ago, till about 2014, when we didn't have even 500 entrepreneurs in our country, today we have crossed 125,000 entrepreneurs. This empowerment, that you live with dignity. With the Mudra initiative, the 40 crore people have taken Mudra loan, a small amount, 50,000, 70,000, and started their business, a small business, a tea shop. 40 crores. Now the person who was earlier looking at the government for some help and looking helpless, living with dignity through the Digital India initiative and through the schemes like Mudra initiative, Mudra. For entrepreneurs, there are several schemes. You start. There is no dearth of resources. You wake up. Be on your feet. Live a life of dignity. The patron-client relationship between the state, that is the government and the people, is not a healthy relationship. People are not clients. they are the masters. They must have the power, which is legitimately due to them. And this model of reducing or mitigating poverty is a model for the world to follow. And the world is curiously watching us. Another global crisis, pandemic. For the last over 3 years, it has devastated the world. No country, no home was spared. Millions and millions of people perished. And look at India's experiment. It's a case study for the rest of the world. We also suffered, but when it comes to addressing the challenge, the way we handled it, when this epidemic broke out, there were doomsday sayers saying that India would be, the loss would be not less than 70 to 80 million people would die. Because we didn't have a good health infrastructure. We didn't have adequate support system. We didn't even have masks and ventilators. But the country got together. Our scientists, our health workers, our common people, they got together and we faced the challenge. Our people of technology devised the COVID app. And what a wonderful app, though. It is the envy of the world. You have a vaccination. Imagine about over 1 billion people to be vaccinated. You have a vaccination and immediately within no time you get the certificate on your mobile and it ensures you a smooth travel. The way we handled the pandemic, the world has to learn a lesson from it. Not only that, the pandemic devastated the economy. Many countries are fighting hard to escape recession. They are in a recession-like situation. And when the recovery is, when the pandemic started, the phase started slowing down, it started ebbing. And there were demands to boost the economy. Most of the world, they believed in consumption-driven economy. Print the money, supply the money. Let more money come to people's pocket. Our leadership said no. India said no. We will not follow that. We will not just print the money, we will deal with it. We will do the fundamental reforms which will strengthen our base for a better future. And the result is, while we did not print the money, our economy is the fastest growing economy in the world today among the large countries. The country which was 10th in order of GDP, it has already reached 5. And we are confident that the next few years will be among the top 3. It is unstoppable. How to face a global pandemic, turn this crisis into an opportunity to strengthen yourself, to build yourself with more confidence for a better future. There is no guarantee that there will not be another pandemic. Are we prepared for it? And if the world has to be prepared and perhaps there is no option, India's way how to deal with it is the way for the world. In the world, another issue is gender justice. We know that nearly half the population, the plight of the woman. All these years, people have been talking about justice to women, women empowerment. But what has happened in this country in the last few years? Where are we? Today, our women are more confident. When I go to the universities, I go to school, I feel so happy to see more number of girl children, women, than the boys. Right from the birth of a child, when the mother, expecting mother, through again in clubbing the digital India with the other policies, monitoring through Poshan Abhiyan, giving the due nutrition and timely medical intervention care. A woman, a pregnant woman, carries her mobile, and time to time she gets the message, now it is time for you to come for a checkup. This is the time for you to have this certain time which are there in the process of pregnancy. And then the nutrition support. Healthy citizens, healthy women, women education, women entrepreneurship. Today, in our country, there is no barrier for women. They are everywhere, even in the defense forces. In combat areas, our women are flying bombers, aircraft. Even in our bank accounts, when I said that we have crossed the 500 million, 56% of them are women. 30 million houses that have been built, they have been built with the women as the owners. Men are also, husbands are co-owners, but the primary owner is the woman. Long back, Mahakavi Bharati had said, he had dreamed, Pattangal Alavadum, Sattangal Saivadum, Parinen, Pengal, Nalatadam. This is happening here. All these crises that India is facing, the challenges that India is facing, is showing the way to the world how we need to conduct our affairs. And these changes are happening how? What is the core behind this fundamental tumultuous transformations? It is our, what we call Vishwa Darshan and Manav Darshan, worldview and view towards humanity. How do we look at the world? Traditional Indian way of looking at the world, unfortunately over 1,000 years of colonization, invasions, it got weakened, which is again being energized. Our traditional way of looking at the world is as a family. And when we say world is a family, and when Thiru Om Prakash mentioned about from Purnanuru, Yadumuru, Yavarum Kele, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, it is our traditional received wisdom. For several thousand years ago, we have not prayed for ourselves. We have prayed for all the beings, not only for humans, but all the beings, animals and plants. Our prayers are Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Karshit Dukh Bhagavad. Let every being be happy. Let every being be free of disease. When our great saint Valalar says, Vardiya Peri Kand Politellam Vardi name. When I see a plant withering, it withers my heart. This is our worldview. This is what we are in our DNA. And that's how we look at the world as a family. And the world is totality of it, not only humans. And when it comes to humans, our outlook to the humans is again Ekatma Manav Darshan. Integrally connected humans as a family, integrally connected with the rest of the family of the creation. It is this view, is this approach which is bringing about the change in our own country. When the Prime Minister, a uniquely visionary person who understands this country, who is deeply steeped into the Indian values, when he took the initiative, various initiatives, it was a fundamental departure from the past. In the past, India, it grew, we developed, but we developed according to our limited resources that we thought our resources were limited. We used to have a plan, 5-year plan. This much is our money, total kitty, so this much we will spend in the medical, for the health, so we will build so many hospitals, so many medical colleges, so many primary health centers. When we have a limited resource, we have this much for education, we will build so many for schools, so many for colleges. Now this was, if you look at the country as a family, in your family, can you afford to say that I have 10 members, I can only afford, I will only provide health and education to the 2, not to the rest? You cannot. When you look at the country as a family, every citizen of our country has to get all those basic ingredients of healthy citizenship. And that is how all the schemes, entire approach was entire country specific. It's not region specific. It's not a state specific. It was for all the citizens of the country. Looking the country, when we say the world is a family, we must begin, charity begins at home. This country, look at the country as a family. And achieve it by energizing the country. Country men and women. You know, in Yajurveda, there is a call. Vayam Rashtre Jagriyam. We will wake up the Rashtra. We will wake up the nation. And then, Sambadatvam Sangachadvam. Sambho Manansi Janatam. Together we move, together we grow. As a family, awaken the nation. Because we have a great responsibility. India is to grow not merely for India itself. India has to grow for the sake of the world. Because today we are in a situation which is not sustainable. The problems all that I mentioned, be that the climate to various crises. Most of these are the product of the last 7 decades, 7.5 or 8 decades. We didn't talk about climate in 1940s or 50s, but we are concerned about it today. Now this goes on, it is not sustainable. To save the world, India has to grow with Indian values. And Indian values, which our G20 motto says, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. One earth, one family, one future. It's not a shared future. It is one future. Either we prosper together or we doom together. Now for this, India has to grow. At the time, 1947, 15th of August, when India became independent, Rishi Aurobindo penned down a dream. What India should be. He said, India has an obligation, a divinely ordained obligation to grow, and spread this light of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is a family, to rest of the world. But to have this light, you must spread across the world, you must be capable of that. And for that, we have to be a developed country. And now our national leadership has given us the target, by 2047, India must be a fully developed country. My friends, my young friends who are students of Ambedkar Law University and other universities, those who are here as an observer, you must realize that you have an obligation, a great obligation, to build this country not only for this India, but for the world. Whichever profession you are essentially in the law. But whatever you choose, life doesn't know what it takes you, where it takes you tomorrow. But whichever field you grow, whichever field, and whatever you do, keep in mind this responsibility of yours, that you must grow to your optimum, to your capacity. What is your potential? If your potential is to grow on the scale of 1 to 10 to 9 or 10, and if you stop at 4, it is an achievement, but there is a huge loss. It's a loss for you, it's a loss for the nation, it's a loss for the world. Bear in mind that your growth, your development is not just your development, it is a need for the country and for the world. Keep that in mind wherever you go, whatever you do. Friends, I wish you all the very best. I know you are our national assets, each one of you, and you will be conscious of your responsibility towards yourself, towards your family, towards the nation, towards the world. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Hind. Nandi.
I have to profusely thank the Honorable Governor. The Honorable Governor's elucidation on the key facets of the G20, which also attest to his vast experience, dating experience. There can be no end without a great deal of gratitude.
Curtains today for the summit simulation meet. I stand before you to express my gratitude on behalf of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Life. Thank you, sir. I sincerely thank Dr. Vignesh, Director, Daniel Group of Companies, for the special guest. Thank you, sir. I profusely thank the requisite. It is my bounden duty to happen so well. I thank my esteemed colleague, the Dean, Professor Balaji, Chairman G20, and for gracing the occasion. I thank Professor Gauri Ramesh, Principal, Law College.
Good afternoon and good day to one and all present here for income transplant. I would like to call upon Dr. Adithanar to give the welcome address. Thank you, sir. I would request Dr. Suresh Rao KG co-details about the pediatric transplant.
Like 1 second தானே எப்போ கிளம்புறீங்க? சரி நீங்கள் வந்துட்டு அப்டேட் பண்ணுங்க.
It gives me great pleasure to heart implantation. Balloon heart basically an artificial pump which can support the heart till the child gets a heart. So they didn't have the facility to do the balloon heart implantation. Hence, child was referred to MGM healthcare. Because our team is doing the balloon heart implantation in children. So the child was selected to MGM, but the journey was not uneventful. As soon as the flight was taken off, the child had a cardiac arrest. So they revived the child. Then midway again, child had cardiac arrest at Karachi, near Karachi. So they massaged for almost 45 minutes. They got back the heart, then finally shifted to MGM healthcare. But when we received the child had again cardiac arrest. This time our team led by Dr. K.R. Balakrishnan, we put the child on ECMO. So what we call it ECPR. So what next? This is the child on ECMO support. You can look at the echocardiogram. This is the heart, left ventricle. It's not at all contracting. Ideally the heart is the one which pumps the blood into the body. Time he got allotting the organs. So there was a child in Mumbai who had head injury. Now our team went there. So the boy was 3.5 years old. Child had head injury following a fall on a toy bike. Very unfortunate event. And the child was declared brain dead on 23rd June. So our team did the echo. The heart function was borderline, and the blood group of the baby was B positive. Our recipient's blood group was A positive. Now there was no child, Indian child, waiting for a transplant. So as per the law, if there is no Indian recipient, the organ is allotted to a foreign child. So it was allotted by NATO for this child. So we had several challenges. One is different blood group. So we looked at this child's antibody levels. The child had antibodies against the B group. So we did filtration. We used plasmapheresis to remove all the antibodies. Then we did the transplantation. Now, since the heart was borderline, it required ECMO for another 10 days. In fact, we kept the chest open in these days. But to our luck, the heart fully recovered. So it turned out to be a great decision. You can see the child recovering in the ICU following the transplant. And today, the child is normal. It is ready to get discharged. If you look at the echo, just see the echo. The ventricle is contracting well. It is normal ventricle. The heart has fully recovered. So there are two highlights in this case. One is ABO incompatible heart transplant. Second is child had ECPR following cardiac arrest, then transplant was done. So what is ABO incompatible transplant? Generally we accept the same blood group heart for the heart transplantation. That's because they will have antibodies for the other blood groups. However, in pediatric population you can do ABO incompatible for two reasons. One is their immune system is not well mature. And second thing is it is very difficult to get a pediatric heart because rarely you will see organ donations in a child. So, however, we have to look at the antibody levels, remove the antibodies, then you can go ahead with the transplant. The second highlight is this child had eCPR. All of you know what is CPR. It is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So E stands for ECMO. So during CPR, if the heart doesn't recover, you can put the child on ECMO. We know arterial ECMO supports both the heart and the lung, when the heart and lungs are not functioning, and it can keep the child alive, so that later you can do whatever, destination you can do. I looked at the literature. I didn't find any child who had repeated cardiac arrest, then eCPR was done, then they did the heart transplantation. Probably this is one of the first of its kind in the, I would say, in the world. So finally, we thank the donors' family. Without their generous gesture, this wouldn't have been possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. K.R. Balakrishnan, who will be presenting the case and also addressing the media. So, my pleasure.
Good afternoon. Dr. Suresh Rao has mentioned the highlights. Means the heart is stopped. When you try CPR for 5 minutes, if the heart doesn't recover, we normally pronounce the patient dead. So for this child to have 2 or 3 major episodes, 2 of them lasting more than 45 minutes, as even for us experienced professionals, we don't know when to give up, how long to continue. And the other issue is brain. Even if the heart recovers, the patient may not wake up. So miraculously, the child, despite 2 long periods of cardiac arrest, in fact, we got a phone call from Karachi saying the baby is arrested. Do you want us to continue here or declare and take the child back? It's very difficult for us as treating physicians to give any advice. What do you say? So we said, having come all the way, please travel, we'll do our best. And this child woke up miraculously after 48 hours. We didn't expect the child to be awake. You know, the brain cannot stand lack of blood supply for more than 3 minutes. And imagine if the child arrests the casualty. It's a very small child. You have to open the chest and put it in. So all the while you are pressing the, and this happens at 10 o'clock at night. So for everybody to come from home in this traffic is a huge challenge. And then we were planning for a Berlin heart. The right size cannula was not available. In the meantime, we got a donor call from Bombay. The family very generously in their moment of grief agreed. And it's we don't often have pediatric recipients because the donation is so uncommon. Pediatric recipients are rare, so there was no suitable, and this can't be used for older. You can't put an 18-month-old organ into a 50-year-old adult. It will never work. So after a lot of deliberation, not to in Delhi, allotted this organ. So our team went to Children's Hospital in Bombay and retrieved. And as Dr. Suresh Rao mentioned, we supported for another 10 days. See, when we speak in English and say ECMO support for 10 days, it looks easy. Trust me, to keep a child's chest open and on ECMO, which requires apparent bleeding, it was unimaginable for us even 5 years ago to this is actually cutting-edge technology in the world. And the heart's completely recovered, along with the challenges of AVU and compatible transplant ready to go. It's a testimony to the robustness of the organ donation system is happening in this country, especially in Tamil Nadu, and the overall medical infrastructure which is developing so rapidly and of such high quality in this city and state that even from Western Europe, I don't know where they are from, they have no idea who they are. So they just heard our name and came. So the reputation of this city's medical infrastructure is such that even from Western Europe, patients are seeking help here. So it's a matter of great joy and pride for us that this child could be sent back in good condition. And again, as Dr. Suresh Rao said, our profound gratitude to the donor's family for doing this life-saving donation gift of life in their hour of need.
Thank you. Question and answer session now. Open for questions, please.
What is this? Because when we read newspapers, a lot of people are waiting for the organ donation.
Sir, first of all, pediatric or recipients are not common. 18-month-old. See, we are the largest transplant program in India. Less than the age of 18 months, we have done 2 children. in the last 10 years. So when pediatric donors are not common, so nobody lists them because this money it take on an average you get a pediatric donation like this twice a year. So you can't keep children alive for so long. So pediatric donors are very uncommon.
Your question is valid, but statistically the foreign recipients very rare. In the last 4 years, it is hardly 1 or 2 per year. So 95% of our recipients are domestic. This is a rare case. That's why it was highlighted. Because it was very serious patient, somebody came from country, and that weight, what 15-16 months, low weight, there were at that time no recipient. At the moment there is no 16 kg recipient in India, so it was given to this patient. That's all. Otherwise, if anyone were there,
It was allotted by the government regulated body. At that time, no child was registered for a transplant except this child. Yeah.
So we heard of ABO incompatible for kidney transplant, but in pediatric cases it is common ABO incompatible.
Pediatric heart actually is common for one reason. It was first started in Toronto because pediatric donors are rare all over the world. In older children we can at least use adult hearts, but in a small child you cannot fit in an older child's heart. So how many 18-month-old children would have an accident or very uncommon. And then to wait for the same blood group, nobody would be alive. So AB incompatible was started in Toronto about 20 years ago. And the reason it was started is the antibodies levels in children of that age is very low. So it is manageable either with plasmapheresis or with filtration. You will be able to remove the antibodies. So it's become standard of care in pediatric transplants. In kidney and liver, they still do AB incompatible in adults because they are living donors. So you have time to desensitize them over 2 months. In heart, we don't know when the donor will come. We don't have the advantage of living donors. So AB incompatible in hearts is very uncommon.
Please go ahead.
So when we came here, my baby was very. We came with medical transfer because she was very sick. She was on ventilator till the whole transfer. So she had 2 cardiac arrests on the plane. One of them was more than 30 minutes. She died. I can't explain that, but it was terrible. After that, when we landed here, she had a new one in the ambulance, and they just make a miracle for her. And I want to appreciate everything, because if she's on our country, she's never been alive right now.
We are opening the stage for photo opportunity, please.
கொஞ்சம் பின்னாடி வந்துருங்களா, தலை வருது பின்னாடி
என்ன கேமராவா ஒன்றுச்சு இருறா
பார்த்தாலும்
போடி போகிறோம் போகலாம் போங்க
One-on-one question session with the doctors. We're open for that now. You may.
Questions? Can you be
this is different.
The blood group are different.
Different. So அது எவ்வளவு டிஃபிகல்ட்டா இருந்தது?
ஓகே, அதுக்கு ஆன்சர் பண்ணுங்க. ஓகே, சாதாரணமாக டிரான்ஸ்பிளான்ட்டில் கம்பேட்டிபிள் பிளட் குரூப்னு சொல்லுவோம். அப்படின்னா ஏ குரூப்னாக்க ஏ குரூப் தான் ஒர்க் பண்ணோம், இல்லைனா ஓ பண்ணோம். பின்னா பி அண்ட் ஓ குரூப் ரெசிபியண்டாக்க ஓ மதர் தான் கொடுக்க முடியும். ஆனால் இந்த குழந்தைக்கு ஏ குரூப், டோனர் பி குரூப். ஸோ சாதாரணமாக நம்ம இன்கம்பேட்டிபிள் குரூப்பில் டிரான்ஸ்பிளான்ட் பண்ணால் ஆர்கன் வேலை செய்யாது, ஹைப்பர் அக்யூட் ரிஜெக்ஷன் ஆகும். அந்த சின்ன குழந்தைகளை பண்ண முடியும்னா அந்த ஆன்டிபாடி லெவல்ஸ் குறைவு. ஸோ நம்ம ஃபில்ட்ரு பண்ணி இந்த ஆன்டிபாடியை எடுத்துடலாம். அண்ட் ஸோ இந்த ஏபி இன்கம்பேட்டிபிள் டிரான்ஸ்பிளான்ட் தான் முதல் தடவை பண்ணுறோம். ஏன்னா இந்த கண்டிஷன் குழந்தைய ரொம்ப சீரியஸாக இருந்தது. ஹார்ட்டு கொஞ்சம் கூட துடிக்கலை, எக்மோவில் இருக்கும், செஸ்ட் ஓப்பனாக இருக்குது. 10 நாள் எவ்வளோ நாள் தான் எக்மோ வந்து ஒரு வாரத்துக்கு அப்புறம் வேலை பண்ணாது. ஸோ ஒரு ஃபேமிலியோட குழந்தைக்கு ஹெட் இன்ஜுரி ஆனதெல்லாம் அவங்க டொனேட் பண்ணாங்க நல்ல மனத்தோட. அந்த டயத்தில் இந்தியாவில் வேற ஒரு சின்ன குழந்தைக்கும் ஒரு 18 மாத குழந்தைக்கு ரெசிபியண்ட்டும் அந்த சைஸாக இருக்க முடியும். பெரிய அடல்ட்டுக்கு அது போட முடியாது. வேற ஒரு ரெசிபியண்ட் இல்லாததுனால இந்த குழந்தைக்கு அலாட் பண்ணாங்க. ஸோ இந்த குழந்தைக்கு போட்டு இன்னொரு 10 நாள் எக்மோவில் சப்போர்ட் பண்ணிவிட்டு அதுக்கு ஃபுல்லாக ரிகவர் ஆகிடுது. ஒரு பெரிய விக்ட்ரி அந்த குழந்தைக்கு. இந்தியாவில் வந்து இந்த மாதிரி ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் வந்து சரியாக போகிறது நம்ம எல்லாருக்கும் ஒரு பெருமையான விஷயம்.
ஆக்சுவலி இப்போ